Hey guys, welcome to another episode. Today with us we have Buthmee Fernando. Buthmee Fernando is talking to us from Japan. Um, and so now that most of my viewers are in that end of their school career, an important worry about them for them is higher education. And Buthmee is right now in Japan. She is studying in Japan, and let's get her insight onto why Japan and how and COVID related questions mainly. So let's welcome
Mhm.
Buthmee. Hi, Buthmee.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Uh, Give us a bit of an introduction to yourself.
Okay, so I'm Buthmee. I'm from Sri Lanka originally. And I moved to Japan a week ago. I'm currently in quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
My university is Tokyo International University. I'm studying international relations.
Okay, that's it's pretty good. Um, you know, it was very nice to have you here because I was looking for somebody to talk about this topic, and then I saw you've moved to Japan. Along with that, I saw your
Mhm.
social media presence was very on the spot, and you were always there. And I thought you would make for a very
Thank you.
exciting conversation, I'd say. Um,
Thank
so,
you.
but let's get started with the questions, right? So the
Yes,
first
sure.
question is why your choice of subject?
International relations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, it's a personal choice that I made at a very young age after the passing of my dad, who instilled the values of studying, diplomacy and international relations. I've always been drawn to current affairs and how the world works, so I thought maybe this is the obvious choice for me.
That's a very good choice, to be honest. Not many parents would send their kids that way, and I'm very sorry about the loss of your father. But I think it was a very good choice that he or that sort of idea that he brought up. A lot of kids and a lot of parents, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a engineer, and that
Mhm.
drives kids crazy because of the job market and how close it is. So I think it was a very good choice
Mhm.
you made, and we could really use more people like that in our society.
Thank-
But me, let's talk to you about, the gap year question. So, because of
mhm.
COVID-19, I know that you finished your advanced level 1 year ago, and so, you were anyways
Mhm.
going to take that gap year. But in your
Mhm.
perspective, so a lot of the kids now, they are considering taking that gap year because they lost a lot. And they also, instead of doing the exam in 2021 May, June, all of them are considering 2022 January. So I ask you this
Mhm.
question: would you take that gap year and fix the mistakes or like fix the gaps that you made here to get yourself back in your peak performance? How would you look at this?
So it all depends on the person because a lot of the kids, there is so much pressure that comes with A levels. And
Definitely.
when you are on a full steam ahead for 2 years and you want to finish your A levels in 2 years and you're stopped halfway through, it gets to you. And
Yeah.
especially when you're told that you're given 6 months more, you're going to get complacent and you're going to get lazy. It all
Mm,
depends on who you are and your work ethic and your study ethics. So I
exactly.
personally I wouldn't have done what they did though. I am personally against the what they did for May June, where they chose the school chose their grades
Mm,
instead of them sitting for the exams. I would have I the October November students sat for their exams, but I wouldn't have done what the major students did. I would have opted to sit for my exams, but I wouldn't take a gap year
I think each
personally.
school, like in that perspective, each school made their decision. So my school,
Hmm.
Gateway College decided to give the option to students. So in my school, for instance, about
Hmm.
75% of the kids did their exam in October.
Yeah, same. Our school also, only one student I think didn't do their exams in October November. Everyone else switched to October.
But then that October it had a lot of effects. Now I'm done with my advanced
Hmm.
level, but I'm started with
Hmm.
my A levels and I have 6 months left. So instead of covering it in 1 year, I'm covering it in 6 months. And it's a big task ahead, especially this is the time you start going for job experience too. This is the sort of time where like for your university you obviously need to go for job
Hmm.
experience, right? So those kind of things, and
Hmm.
especially me, I do model United Nations as well. So that is
Hmm.
another thing. So yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of things ahead.
I understand. Good luck.
So I want to ask you this question. This is a follow up on
Mm,
our previous conversation about why you chose the particular field. It's a
mm,
question of why you chose that particular university. A lot of students are considering doing their education in Sri Lanka.
mm,
We have ICBT. If you want to do law, you have RI, and you can even do, if I'm not wrong, the same course that you're following in RI. My question was,
mm,
why did you choose to go abroad? I mean, knowing how difficult it is, and in a COVID perspective, how
mm.
worth it is it to you?
100%. Everything happened, I don't know, miraculously. I was okay. I'm personally not against students studying in Sri Lanka. I would have done the same if I haven't got the scholarship. It's 100% based on the scholarship and the fact that my mom gave me the green light. Our financial situation gave us the green light, and
A lot of things went
TIU
good for
offered
you.
the yes, yes.
That's
That's what
actually very
happened.
nice to hear. A lot of people are having tough times this COVID season. It's nice to see
I
some
know.
people having it good for once.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So we understood why you chose to go abroad. Now,
Mhm,
students, I mean, like, not talk about your experience per se, but let's talk about the benefits a Sri Lankan student would have in going abroad, in doing, specific
mm,
courses like yours, the benefits a student
mm.
would have over doing it in Sri Lanka.
Okay, so if I speak personally, um, I'll take the whole university experience, right? I'm doing international relations. My university is as international as it gets. You have children coming from South Asia, South America, Africa, United States. And when you're doing a subject like international relations, when you have all those perspectives coming together, it's just mind blowing the amount these conversations that we have. And that's one. Another thing is, you have that whole university experience. You're 18, you're an adult, you get to make decisions. Dude, 7 days I've been inside this room. The amount of decisions that I have had to take, it's it's
It's
intense.
insane. It's
So
insane. Yeah, I
I
get it.
know, even with the dorm experience, right? You have to take care of yourself. You have to make sure you don't get sick. You have to make sure you control your finances properly. It's that whole growing up experience, and
Mm,
I think that's what
it's a worth
a
it.
lot of Sri
That
Lankans
experience is worth
need.
it.
Sri Lankans need that, experience. Some
We
kids
are
do.
pampered a lot by our moms, to be honest. A lot of
Oh
us.
yeah.
Me, like, if my mom doesn't show up to my room for 2 months, nobody should show up to my room from that point. It's a mess. My room's actually a mess right now, but for the podcast, I got everything behind me looking good, but all the dump is on that side.
Oh my god. People
uh,
are actually they're very surprised that my mom let me go abroad because I was very, guarded in Sri Lanka. So here
hmm,
I am.
broad, making your parents
Yes.
proud.
Thank you.
No, it's a beautiful thing, being in a country abroad, being by yourself, growing up. That whole experience is something that our folks don't face. I have cousins, friends who are in RI. The education
Mm,
standard's pretty good here. It's just that
mm,
that level of maturity doesn't come. And in Sri Lanka, when they say maturity, they think going to a party, clubbing. That's what they think maturity is. But maturity is actually
Adulting.
exactly taking care of yourself.
Yes. No, I mean, if you look at students who go to local universities, they get to live in their dorms. Some have to travel out of Colombo or
Hmm.
out of their home city. They get the full experience. Just, our private institutions, they don't really offer dorms, and
When I
obviously.
said RI, and the reason why I mentioned RI was, I mean, it's a podcast. It's on my IG. I'm kind of have to focus it towards the audience, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but what I meant to ask you was the value of a degree coming from your university compared to something coming from Sri Lanka. Uh, what do you think? Like, how about that distinguishment? Because that's a big issue for a lot of people. For me personally,
Mhm.
I really want to go abroad and study, but then again,
Yeah.
knowing that some point in time I have to come back, it's just that,
Mm.
is that university as worth it as I think it is?
Now, you have to also think about the fact some people don't want to spend a lot of money on their degree but spend a lot of money on their masters, because everyone has masters and PhDs and degrees now. So they would go to a Sri Lankan affiliated university, get their degree, and they would fly abroad to get their masters. By that time they are very adult. But I would say that I am glad that I chose, uh, I mean, to go abroad than stay in Sri Lanka, solely due to the fact that I want to get out of my comfort zone. I have
Mm-hmm.
made more friends. I have expanded my boundaries and made contacts. I've learned lessons along the way, and I think that the lessons I have learned is much more valuable than if I just said, you know what, I'm just going to go to RI. If I said that, I would not be the person I am right now.
Just a question. Is this your first time flying abroad?
No, this is not.
No.
This is the second time,
So,
but yeah,
second time.
yeah. So
Okay,
I
so
mean
it's
the
not.
second
So
time,
you're
and
not like a
I'm
very avid flyer, anyways.
no, I'm not.
I really wanted to know, the difference between, regular flying and COVID flying, because I am someone who flies a lot because I actually lived in Oman for most of my life,
Mm-hmm.
so it's always back and forth. My dad still works
Mm-hmm.
there. I just want to know that experience. How was it? Was it very, clammy and uh, freakish?
I have some tea to spill. I have to take it up with Sri Lankan Airlines. I honestly thought that it's gonna have some sort of regulations. Have to give it to the people. None of them took their masks off, but there was no social distancing. The man was
That's
right next to
sad.
me. I mean, gladly they didn't put anyone with a negative PCR test on that flight, but there were 300 people there, and if
Did they ask you
anyone,
to wear the plastic shield on top?
no, I was just wearing my mask.
That's
Only the
terrible.
cabin, dude. You won't, and the experience was not that great. 8 hours. I don't know how I was patient during that eight
I mean,
hours.
usually Sri Lanka to Japan flight is pretty good, to be honest. Anyway,
Mm.
any flight over 4 hours in Sri Lankan Airlines is pretty good. But I
Yeah.
spoke to about 5 6 people who traveled abroad during COVID season. They told me about how the seats were all separated. Everyone was asked to wear a mask. I
I
think it was
know.
your isolated incident.
Yes, I think so because when I booked the flight, they were like, it's gonna be a cargo flight. There'll be like 10 people. I walk into the airport, dude, there's like 500 people lined up. Yeah, I got the shock of my life.
How's settling in Japan? I mean, there's obviously the language barrier, and then there is the
Hmm.
food. I mean, sushi. Like, I don't even eat proper fish. Like,
Did you just say you don't like sushi? I've had it. I've only had it once. I've loved it. I've not had sushi in Japan yet though because I've been inside for 7 days. Lots of people are asking me what's my Japanese experience. I'm like 2 hours on a highway and 1.5 hours of me just sleeping through it because I was
so do
jet lagged.
people bring you food for you to cook or what?
So I took 10 kilos of food from Sri Lanka, and
Smart thing to do.
I got my uncle to drop some food off.
Hmm.
So I've been cooking Sri Lankan food. So I've not had any international food yet. But settling in, I'm getting used to the weather. It's so
Mm.
cold.
Yeah,
I
especially like when you've been in Sri Lanka for that long, the weather is definitely an issue.
I know that's other
Did
than
you
that
go
I've
packing well, like in well-suited armor, or did you just went Lankan style and realized too late?
oh no, I went with well suit. I checked the temperature before I landed. No, because in the flight itself they're like the weather is fine, just 11 degrees Celsius. And I'm like, what do you mean?
That gave you the storm of your life.
I know.
I actually love the cold. I was born in Norelia, and then the Middle East. It's air conditioned everywhere, so I love the
You know,
cold.
this is biting me in the back. Before I flew, I was telling my mom I really need to go to the cold weather. I need to go to Nuwara before I go. And now I'm like living in 24/7 cold weather.
I think your dome room looks nice, like from the background, like it looks really
It's
nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. But I'm not gonna be here in another 7 days. This is just the quarantine room.
Still better than what you have in Lanka, man.
Don't be don't be nasty towards Lanka.
Look, okay, I have less ties with Sri Lanka than I have with any other nation. Because I've lived here for like what? The first few years where I remember nothing, and then now 2 years
Mhm.
in Sri Lanka after I moved in, so I don't really mind. So
Okay.
let's talk about, so like we've discussed your experience, which is
Mm.
like so interesting. I'd like to listen more. But let's talk about the issue at hand, because
Mm.
you would have noticed some issues in your traveling. You would have noticed some issues during documentation and all, because you have your experience. Especially if you were just going in, it's different, but you were going in with a scholarship, so definitely there's
Mm.
a lot of documentation with regards to that. How do you think kids could learn about it? Because a lot of folks, people don't even know how a visa works here in Sri Lanka, because a lot of them don't fly outside. Your opinions on that?
It's so I had to get a something called a certificate of eligibility before I get my actual visa.
Hmm.
That took me 3 months of back and forth with the university. I did that
Wow.
all during lockdown. I had to get bank statements, my mom's financial history, my mom's company history, my blood type, and all of that had to go in because you're literally going to live in a country. They want to know all the details, right?
How
So
about
you,
insurance? Is insurance covered by your sponsor and or what?
yeah, Japan gives something called national health insurance. So 70% of your medical fees are covered by the Japanese government.
It's good. I need to ask you one more question, because Japan is a country that not many people look at, but they should, because of how great it is.
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
in the United Kingdom, if you go and study there for 4 years, you're still, if I'm not wrong, under something called a Tier 1 or Tier 2 visa, and so it's not
Mm-hmm.
considered for your PR. How about your system? Is your years of studying there considered for your PR?
Um, yeah. So you get a residence card. The 4 years that you study, you get something called the residence card, which basically is your identity card for the next 4 years. But getting PR here in Japan is
It's
pretty
difficult.
difficult. Yeah.
How about job opportunities after you're done with university?
Amazing. Even part-time jobs here pay very well. We my roommate and I we found a job that we can start as soon as we get our Japanese bank account set. That pays about 1,500 yen an hour, which is
That
like
is
3,000 rupees an hour, which is a
actually,
lot.
that's
Which is a
pretty good.
lot.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah.
I mean, especially for somebody who has no degree.
Yes, I know it's just a part-time job. So imagine, working a job. So you can
I'd
apply for
really
a
love
work
to have
visa.
this conversation with you 2 months later to, see how it is, the before and the after. Do you regret going or not kind of uh, thing? But if
You
the
should
pay is
definitely.
well, I assume that the cost of living must be very high too. Did you visit any of the
Yes,
supermarkets?
yes. I haven't bought proper groceries yet, but see, it gets to you. You know, when you're going to a country like Japan, where everything is like,
Expensive.
the stand expensive. You're obviously going to be like doing the calculation, be like, okay, this is times two, and this is pretty expensive. But what I told myself before I left was, you're going to live there for 4 years. You have to think in yen. You shouldn't think in rupees. Yes, your mom is sending you money, but you have to have that discipline also. Just get what you need. You can't deprive yourself of food because it's expensive, right? So that's why you should, get a job then.
For me, it's
So
the
I
exact
think
opposite. I calculate everything into Omani riyals, and I'm like, that it's like 20 riyals, and it's like, that's how I communicate. Like, because for me, I've been living there for 10 years, 8 to 9 years.
mhm,
So everything is registered in that currency. So I think I was about to ask
yeah.
you if you have that currency conversion problem,
Oh
and I
yeah, I
guess you
have
do.
it. I have it. But to their income level, the standard of living is pretty decent. Like people,
Hmm.
if you consider yourself a Japanese resident, and the fact that you get a decent wage, the standard of living is pretty good. You can afford
Hmm.
to live here.
So, what about taxes? Because you told me you will be working part-time. How about the tax
Mm.
rates? Maybe you're not aware of it because, are you?
I'm not really sure if I get taxed. I don't think I get taxed.
It depends on your employer, to be honest. If your employer is
Yes.
somebody who's, how would I say, microeconomic businesses, I don't really think they,
Yeah.
have everything by the book. But
Yeah. I think when they pay us, they reduce the tax, because that's how even Sri Lanka works.
hmm,
Uh, you get taxed before you are given your salary.
you've never lived in a place where it's tax-free, right?
Nope.
It's a whole other experience. Trust me, like, you get your salary and then you realize nothing is cut, and then you go home so satisfied. God.
We are not Oman, okay? We can't ever be Oman.
I mean, but then, in Japan, you have a lot of other opportunities there. In Numan,
Yeah,
we got
definitely.
the money, but we've got less of the brains.
Hmm.
Like, we don't have all of those institutions, fancy institutions, and all that Japan has. But
Yeah.
we're a pretty good country. You should visit, to be honest. You should really visit.
Repping Oman.
No, because we've had no civil disturbances in the last 50 years. Not one. I mean, the
Amazing.
Yemenis try to come in, but then we've got a pretty good army there. I mean, you're all about IR. I mean, this should be very interesting to you.
Yeah, definitely interesting, but I'm not going to take any sides of any country. Not especially if I'm going to live in Japan for the next 4 years and I need the visa.
I mean, Japan's a great country. A lot of people, wish to
Mm.
go there. How about
Yeah.
language? How are you planning on learning the language?
I am currently learning the language.
Oh, wait. I think I know one thing. Let me just tell me if it's correct. I learned this like 5 years ago. Does Uname mean what is your name?
Anata no
Shit,
onamae wa
I'm
nan desu ka?
okay. So like part of what I said was correct, right?
You said namae, that means name, so
Shape. God,
shape.
shape. My uncle when he was there, once when he comes back in holidays, he would, teach me a little bit. Yeah.
I
So,
can give you lessons. Although I'm horrible at it. No, so I'm learning Japanese. Our university is teaching us
hmm,
Japanese every single
so,
day
uh-huh.
for 3 hours.
3 hours.
Dude, yeah, 3 hours of Japanese.
If I was you, I'd just go there, sleep for about one proper week, and then get start to work. I don't have
I
that
slept
level
for
of determination.
I slept for one whole day, and I was like, okay, I have to keep my attendance up. If I want to keep my scholarship, I need to keep that
Oh
attendance
yeah,
up.
you're on the scholarship, so you're like still under the. Hmm. But
They
how
own me.
is how is the language? I mean, it goes this way, right?
I don't want to get into it, because today I learned, so we are learning kanji right now, and today I learned this kanji that
Kanji means porridge
means
in Tamil, right?
yeah. But kanji is a alphabet. There are three alphabets, and you're supposed to learn all three alphabets in Japan and Japanese. And oh my god, that yeah, it's tough. It's
I
tough.
see. You look frustrated.
With kanji, yes, definitely.
But I think you'll get by fine. I think. So
I mean,
let's
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about the future about once you study IR, because I really want to talk about it, and I'm not sure if I told you this earlier, but about why
Mhm,
it won't be suitable in Sri Lanka, because that's a good field. I have sister who studied that, a lot of friends who are looking to it. But then in Sri
mhm,
Lanka, I mean, the purpose of IR is to represent your nation as a delegate sometime, right?
mhm,
And that sort of
mhm,
work. But we do see how our ambassador positions, our delegatory positions are being filled by ex-politicians and people with links. What do you see in the
mhm.
future with
Yeah.
your degree?
So I've had these conversations, obviously, with a lot of people. I know someone who, he, it's really kind of frustrating, kind of, I go to BCIS. I did a course at BCIS, and there were so many kids who came to do the IR course. Okay. And then you have Bandaranayaka Training Institute. There are so many kids who are doing this degree. And when you look at how many countries that Sri Lanka represent, it's such a handful. And out of that also, the government favors whoever they want, they send to represent the country. But there's so much more to IR. A lot of people do IR as a like
In
another
addition.
degree. Yeah, in addition, like I will do laws. If I'm doing law, I'll do IR as well. That kind of thing.
Hmm.
So there are a few people like me who take IR seriously, and we want to pursue IR. You can do a lot of things. You can join the UN. You can join. There are so many bodies of the UN. You can take it further, and you can join like the Foreign Ministry of Sri Lanka. You can do politics. You can do economics. You can teach. You can join non-profit organizations. There's so many things you can do with IR, but you have to be smart about it. Some kids, like
You've
some
got to be
people,
determined about it.
and like when you get into IR, I'm going to break the hearts of a lot of people. If you get into IR, you need to know what you're doing. You can't just think as you go. Like you need to know this is, because it's a cutthroat thing. Like people think medicine is cutthroat, but like IR is cutthroat. You need to be on top of your
It's
game.
very cutthroat. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd know
Uh,
doing MUN.
yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The
And
level of, chop, chop, chop. My God. Our chairs would
exactly.
come and tell us, no blame game today. We want actual conference. No, you're going to kill the other person. We want like actual solid stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So some kids get into IR thinking, okay, it's gonna be easy because we just have to think about what's happening in the world. And I'm like, no, there's so much more to it.
Yeah,
I
it's
was a
it's
bit,
actually good that you
hmm,
know about, IR per se rather than
hmm,
going in blind like a lot of kids are
hmm.
doing. It's a very good thing.
Yeah, I was a bit frustrated as well when I did my certificate course at BCIS. A lot of the people I met there, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know why they're there. They're just there because BCIS is a great institute to get the IR certificate from. So I honestly don't like. It's one of my pet peeves. I don't like when people don't know what they're doing.
It's just the same for me, For me, everything's got to be on pinpoint. And I'm like this guy, if you like, I'll be much and come there at 9:30, I'll be there at 9:25. Has to be done, at
Mm.
that time. Otherwise,
There has
I
to be
could
a purpose.
exactly. So when I called you today, we were supposed to start this at 7 Sri Lankan time, and I sent you a message at 6:30. Okay, reminder, because I hate to delay things.
Thank you very much.
No, but but you were very punctual and a great guest, I'd say.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So how's things with your mom? Because that's a lot of people. They have
Mm.
worries going abroad because they miss their family and stuff. How is it? Is it difficult? Is it different? Because you've been with your mom for so
Mm.
long, and then everything's
I
video call
know.
now. Is it difficult?
Yeah, it is. It gets difficult, obviously, when it comes to cooking. And like I miss her just telling me to do things like clean my room, or wash my clothes, or make the
I
bed.
I
I
agree.
I I know. But thank God for technology. Like the video quality is so crisp, like it feels like I'm there. And I think one of my friends told me, he also studies abroad. He told me, if you want to not feel homesick, you need to keep in contact.
Yeah,
Don't
that's true.
isolate yourself. So I talk to my mom in the morning and in the night, maybe during the day. So three times a day. That's because I have online lectures, and she's actually working from home. But I am assuming you have to keep in contact with your
Hmm.
family. Send
Yeah.
pictures to your family group, send pictures to your friends, even if it's a picture of yourself. Talk to friends. So I did this thing where I'm like, I scheduled two people a day. I talk to two people a day. So I'm not going to talk to everyone on the same day. I was like, okay, like tomorrow I'll be talking to two people. That's that way you won't go crazy and you won't be on your phone too much as well.
But have you noticed this when you're, actual physical, when you're like with somebody,
Hmm.
involuntarily you start talking to them, but when it's something like, online, you have to, be consciously thoughtful. Okay, I have to talk to this person now, and that drives you mentally tired. Have you not noticed it?
Sometimes, like, I'm not gonna spill any tea. Some people I don't like to speak on video call with, so I like avoid it. Um, but others I like talking to. I like talking to them for hours and hours. But then again, I'm not much of a like not I can't do it for a long time. I can't be on the phone for a long time. Um,
Yeah, I get it.
so so I cut it short, or I make up an excuse saying that I have to go or something. But yeah, it's not it gets awkward, but it depends on the person. Sometimes with some people it gets awkward, but if you and that other person are like really good friends, it never does. Even the silence is amazing. So
Hmm. Yeah, I
that's my
understand.
take.
And you probably have a lot of great friends supporting you too. That's
Yes, shout
a
out to my friends.
shout out to your friends. My friends, my guys, they're the laziest dudes because I'm like the guy who calls everybody, right? And so if
Oh
I don't
no,
call them, they won't call
they
me
forget
back.
you.
They no, yeah, they forget me. Like they are in their own little world, and so this is gonna be tough on me. My friends are dumb. Yeah, they
I
don't
will
mind
I
me
will
saying
keep in
this.
contact with you. I will keep in contact with you.
That's a very nice thing to hear.
No problem. It's you also have to make that decision, right? You shouldn't be like, now I'm the one abroad, now everyone has to call me because they are in Sri Lanka. You shouldn't have that mentality. If and luckily all of my friends have we've had that mutual thing. When I ask them, they would say yes, definitely, or they would ask me and I'll be okay with it. I've never had the I don't want to talk to you thing. So so far it's been great, and I'm not complaining about my friends. Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm
Wait,
kidding.
wait. You're gonna have to wait for like a while. You've been there for a few days. I came to Sri
Yes.
Lanka. My friends would call me left and right. 1 month later, they were like, "Macha, who are you?"
Oh no, I don't think my
Mm.
friends will
No, no,
forget
no.
me.
I mean,
I'm
like
unforgettable.
that was a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point.
Yeah, I don't. I. That's why you have to keep in contact with them. Send them a message every day.
But I think it's different with dudes. We're like not very clammy with each other. We just that how do I
Hmm.
say? So I acknowledge you.
So, okay, you exist. Done. I'll talk to you again in another month.
So if like here's the thing, if you have some kind of issues, like bro, I need to talk to you, right? They'll call you
Hmm.
in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock. They'll show up at your place. It's a
Hmm.
they're there when you need them.
Yeah.
But
Each to their own.
how do you look at the future? I mean, like
What
your
do you mean?
immediate future. I mean, it's a very retarded thing to ask somebody because that's a question that should frighten anybody. What do you have
Hmm.
in your future? But I'm someone who sees myself somewhere in
Hmm.
10 years, and I work towards
Hmm.
that goal. How about you?
Okay, you're saying immediate future is 10 years.
Yeah,
I want to know your definition of distant future.
distant future is retirement for me
Okay, okay,
because I'm someone
immediate
like
future.
I work according to a calendar and a plan because I am someone who's
Oh.
very forgetful and someone who
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
tend to forget things. So if I know what is in plan for me next, because even this meeting I scheduled it into my calendar so that so that I don't miss things. Because
Hmm.
that's how I work.
You're a
How
very
about you?
busy man.
Yes.
I have
God,
I
I
have
have an interview tomorrow in the morning. In the morning, I have an interview at
Wow.
9:50. I'm working for a Dubai firm for their real estate firm. As a graphic designer, and then I'm working like I'm trying
Look
for
at
a TV
you.
episode. And so, yes, going
I'm going
up.
to make a podcast and I'm going to interview you. You'll be my first guest.
That'll be perfect. Like so for all the viewers here who think the setup is so good, let me tell you that the
Oh
entire
my
cost of
god.
my setup is Zero. I've spent nothing. Like my tripod is all my OL textbooks, stacked on top of each other.
At least they have to be of some use, no?
Some use. I was going to, burn them, but
Oh my god, don't. So
nightmares.
yeah, immediate future, yeah. I have a plan. I am not going to tell that because
You have a
everyone
plan.
laughs at.
You have a plan.
I have
That's
a plan.
that's that's all you need.
Yeah,
Something
I
to
have a
get you
plan.
back in track.
Yeah, immediate future, what I see myself doing after 4 years. Oh yeah, I have a detailed plan. But one thing I've learned with this whole experience is that you shouldn't publicize it because it gives room for people to, criticize you, nitpick everything. So yeah, I'm I would say I have a plan and I'm not completely clueless of what I'm going to do. I was at one point I was like, what am I going to do with this IR degree? I don't want to join the UN. Personally, do not want to do that. I want to come back to the country, but I'm getting a lot of opposition from people in Sri Lanka. Like, don't come back to Sri Lanka.
Somebody of your intellect, somebody who thinks like you, somebody who sees the problem and doesn't choose to ignore them. I don't think Sri Lanka is a good fit for you because we have a lot of ignorance here. I'm not gonna lie, it's just
Don't say that.
no, no, like
I love my
I'm a very
country.
no, like I keep Sri Lanka as second place because never really grew up here. But Sri Lanka
Mhm,
is my country still. I'm not going to give it up. But
mhm,
it's not the country per se. It's the whose hand the country is in right now. And so
mhm,
and like just gender stigmatization and stuff. You know how people think here.
mhm,
And be
mhm.
someone like you who's very positive about things would find it difficult here when negativity is in every single corner, everywhere.
That's the irony of it. That's exactly why I want to come back. I
Want to
think a
fix
lot
it?
of people I think a lot of people know this. I do want to do politics one day, not in the immediate future. One day I want to get into politics.
Can we have like a
So,
virtual hi-fi?
pew.
Because I've told people I've had politics in my mind, and every time I told someone, they asked me if I was nuts.
Why should you be nuts? It should
Exactly.
be great that children our age want to do politics. The some kids our age don't even know who the prime minister of, I don't know, India is. So
Exactly.
it's
So politics is
great.
always good because we've got to like someone of our generation at some point in time going to have to come on top. If you start out
Yeah.
late, people who start out late who become ministers and all are they
Hmm.
generally come from like from heritage. But somebody who's
Yeah.
starting off new has to start at a young age. I'm
And
surprised.
we need like-minded individuals like us, progressive thinkers.
That's such a beautiful thing to say. No one's ever told this out, and wow, like first time. But again, politics in Sri Lanka is not going to work.
It can work if you heard of the word revolution? Progressive revolution.
Let me
We
tell you, were
have
you interested in the 2019 election?
I'm interested in every election.
Look, so in the 2019 election, I had a relative who was contesting.
Mm.
So I was fully engaged. I was
In
actually
the
their social
presidential
media
elections?
parliamentary elections. I was a
Okay, so
social
that's
media,
okay,
yeah, I was a
2020.
social media manager for his campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was so busy with it. And I just saw how people work. Because although he brought in such good ideas, such progressive ideas, how people
Mm.
function is they look at the money. Money plays a big role in Sri Lanka, whether you agree it or
Yeah,
not.
that does. That's because I would like to publicly say this. That's because we keep electing these people who work for money. We keep electing nepotism. We keep electing corrupt individuals. And why do we do that? Because we don't have a choice. And why don't we have a choice? Because good people are backing out.
Not
And the
really good
thing
people are
is,
backing out. It's just when good people are coming, there's a roadblock on them. They don't have the
mhm,
opportunity to go forward.
yeah,
The sad
that's
thing.
very true. As long as this you know how do I say
Rain goes
favoring of
over.
as long as these particular politicians rule the country, you know who I'm talking about, both in the ruling party and in the opposition as well. As long as these you know politicians are ruling this country, we will go nowhere. And one thing I want kids our age, and I really wish kids our age realize, is the fact that they shouldn't be blinded by this. Like, that's what
Exactly.
frustrates me. You think they're so good, but they are not. They don't think about the you think that this is development.
We
We
haven't
haven't
developed in
thought
the
about
last
it.
50 years.
But this is not sustainable. Yes, Colombo looks nice now, but wait till it floods, you know? So,
Exactly. And even about Colombo, it's just that, 2 kilometer square or 3 kilometer square that looks beautiful. The rest of Colombo is
mm,
just as ugly as anywhere.
no, I'm not saying ugly. We don't have a priority straight,
No,
obviously. We
no, what
have
I
so
mean
many.
ugly is I'm not talking about the forestry and all. I'm just talking about how, the roads are not taken care of. We have
Mm,
problem with garbage disposal. Those are the things that what make a country a country. It's not just
mhm.
tourism that we need to focus on. We need to focus on actual development.
Yes, yes. And obviously, it has been a bit, you can't blame the government right now because it has been backtracked because COVID-19 should be their
Prime
top
focus.
priority. And I'm not in any way criticizing the government. We are doing pretty well comparatively
Okay.
with. I'm saying, I mean, they might have been a little bit complacent when it comes to the second wave, but we are doing pretty good for the
See, I
country.
think when it comes to
So
the numbers, we've got to like this is going to go to a COVID. I don't know why it's going COVID late, but like let's just go have it for like 5 minutes. Let's look at numbers. Let's look at the places with the big breakouts. Let's take Germany for instance. Where Germany is physically situated is in the heart of Europe. You have people coming in and out all the time. In Sri Lanka, you don't have that. You have the tourists coming
that's
in,
okay. That's
right?
also because we stopped people from coming in, and
No,
those
I mean, we
countries are
stop
not.
people after March. We put a ban on China after March. Was detected in January. That's 3 months there.
Can we afford to do that? That's the problem. We are
It's
not a
not about
country that
it's not
can.
affording, right? Like it's not the question of if they said okay, it's a risky move. It's just that they didn't even acknowledge there was a problem about COVID until March. That was the problem.
Okay, so that could be a little bit of privilege talking here because we cannot afford to lock the country down, right?
No, even
People.
I never stood for the lockdown from the beginning. I think we should have
Mhm.
done, systematically we could have locked down, at time intervals so that it wouldn't have had as big an effect on our economy, but we could have regulated
Mm.
things well. We could have,
We could
started
have
PCR
had
testings.
Yes, we could have had what I suggested. You could have seen in my tweets every single day was that we could have
I
had
closed Twitter.
random PCR.
It was
we
too
could have had
much.
we could have had random PCR tests. We could have had much more regulated. Fine them,
No,
fine
and the
people
other
who are
thing
not
is
wearing
now we
masks.
were supposed to have complete lockdown in Colombo until the night. There was a perahara in front
Mm-hmm.
of my house yesterday, and people are driving on the street, walking around right now. So I ask you, where is this lockdown? I mean, I clearly don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Again,
live
it
in
comes
in
to
the hill street. I live
grassroots
like in the
levels
main
of
street. So
it comes down to grassroots levels of leadership,
that is
municipalities
where we
and
lack.
police. It's corrupt. The system, unfortunately, is corrupt. That we have to get to the bottom of, and we have to change it. And the
The
only
thing
way we
is,
can change
yeah, you
it
go
is
on.
us. The only way we can change is how, I mean, our vote, but that
How we
also we
change the
need.
municipal governance and the municipal system is by putting in more new folks. But a lot of the
Mm,
educated, a lot of the young crowd don't want to go that way because the pay
mm,
is terrible. The pay is terrible, and
mm.
the people who are going there knowing that the pay is terrible, they come back with money, not from the government.
Mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, uh, a lot of the time when you say you want to be a public servant, it's just people look down on you. They're like, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to work for the government? Or why do you want to become a politician? Because it's in our blood and it's inherent that, okay, there's so much corruption and it's not going to be a good ride for you. But you look at it, there are a handful of good public servants. Just they
Yeah,
don't they are not given that platform because of uh, s- types of politicians who rule through power, and
yeah.
now
Actually,
it's
I
a hunt
think
for
I did
power.
saw. I mean, I did see a really good politician. I think his name was Shihara Herat during the parliamentary election.
Mm. He
He was
he
very
uh
good,
he
right?
represented Gampaha. He represented
In the
Gampaha from
UNP, that
UNP.
was his problem. He was the
Yes.
highest vote taker in Gampaha from the UNP, but UNP, they
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Couldn't get a
People were
seat from, yeah.
people were disappointed with
So
their past performance.
so I mean, you can't blame, because last time they were in power, they kind of ruined the national security of the country, and we
I
lost
think
many
I
innocent
think
lives.
the only way Sri Lanka can win something is through bipartisanship, because like we pick the
Hmm.
best out of every party. Get what I'm saying? Because now I'm very
Yeah.
sure in the UNP we have a bunch of 70-year-old buggers who are worth nothing, but we also have 25-year-olds, 26-year-olds
Hmm.
who are incredibly blessed for our nation. But we look at them as
Hmm.
UNP and we reject them immediately. That's something we need to fix.
Yes, I think one thing we need is we need to like wipe out the whole. We have to do a whole wipeout and then look at potentials, and then we have to put all of those good people into one party. If that's utopia. That's like picking out from SLPP, UNP, SJB. We take all the good people and put them into one party. I currently don't support any party. Okay,
Me
I am
neither.
I'm I am anti. There is a party that I'm anti of, but I don't support any party.
I think
So
politically we both are the same. The
so,
same.
so if what I told my mom was, if I can get a party with where all the good people from all these party, even the party that I don't like, if all of those good people get a party, I will join that party. Because that's
Yeah,
one question I get all the time. Because when I tell I want to do politics, they're like, "So which party are you gonna, join from?"
exactly.
I'll
They
be
define
like,
you based on
I
your
don't know."
party, not on your intellect.
And also, you get votes depending on your party. A lot of people vote for the
Yeah,
party
that's
most of
that's
the
the
time.
problem. That's why you see a lot of independent contestants, but they never get anywhere because see
Hmm.
even these part people who win the party, right? They don't necessarily win because of the party. They win because of the money the party gives. Now, let me tell you,
Hmm.
to have a small stage setup, a single stage setup
Hmm.
for one single night, it will take you over 1 lakh
Hmm.
just for one single stage setup. Now, I'm very
I
sure
learned.
exactly somebody of our
I
age won't, without a political
Yeah,
background, won't be able to afford that.
yeah, definitely. If we yeah. So how do you get the money? Through, you scratch my back, I scratch your back.
I
That's
think
how
how in
it
the United States
happens.
they do it is they get their donations from the people, right? The people donate for their campaigns.
No, you have big companies donating for the campaigns too.
Exactly.
Like if you look at Donald Trump's campaign, I think CVS. That's a pharmaceutical company. CVS. I
Big
think
pharma.
they donated to Donald Trump. So not going to say anything, but you have big companies donate. I mean, obviously capitalists and whatnot. So
No, but
you've
I
got
think
big.
like even if you take the Democrats, like it's not like they're going in empty. Have you seen the DNC? It was elaborate. They were
Mm-hmm,
well over their heads. I'm saying that both the parties they get their money. Like there
mm-hmm.
are companies who will benefit from a Democrat rule.
Dude, yeah, yeah, yeah. The entire Hollywood
Benefit
will benefit
exactly.
from a Democrat rule. That's for sure. Um, yeah, lots of people are like, when Democrats come into power, people won't have guns and white supremacy will stop, and that's all bull. There'll always be a arms industry in USA, no matter who comes into power. That's just America, and that's what they do.
It's their Second Amendment. They are
Yes, yes, right to protect themselves.
right to protect themselves. I think that it's a two-way policy, right? For the Second Amendment, if we restrict it to people who are in danger only, it's a different story. But then when we give that privilege to everybody, it creates a sense of danger. The existence of a weapon essentially makes the entire situation hostile.
Hmm. Why do you have to have weapons in the first place? Just you're living in big bunch of insecurity to have weapons. Yeah, I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of right wing dudes watching this. I have a friend who's super right wing. To be honest, I'm central,
Oh
and
no,
I'm central. I
you're
am central.
central. I am, I am
Democrat.
anti-Trump, because solely due to the fact that I do not like him. I'm not saying that I support Biden. I'm not pro Biden. I think Bernie Sanders would have been a better candidate for Democratic
Exactly.
Party.
For me, if it
But
was, going in, I'd definitely vote for Trump over this one, because I basically don't like Biden. I don't like Biden
mm,
because
mm-hmm,
Biden, what is it called, Obama, Biden, their foreign policy, it ended up in the deaths of a lot of people, a lot of innocent people. And,
mm-hmm.
frankly, if
The
you see the
Middle
number of innocent deaths on Trump's side is much less, significantly less. You know?
I mean, if you're going to count COVID and the amount of people who have died from COVID
To be
because
honest,
people
with
use.
COVID, definitely it was the fact that, he chose to ignore it and he didn't bring it out. Right, that's true. But they could have restricted it definitely. But then the fact that, a huge country like that will have at least over 1,000 deaths it's kind of an obvious thing. And Sri Lanka has
Yeah,
24.
but when you. I know, but when you have the leader of the nation telling people to drink Clorox and Lysol and being like it is a hoax, that's just, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, thing
that
is,
doesn't sit
I
right
I
with
think
me.
of Donald Trump like this: a dog would bark but wouldn't bite. That's Donald Trump. Donald Trump barks
Hmm.
way too much, but he doesn't bite as much as you think he does.
Yeah, he's irritating.
I
That's
find him
what he
hilarious.
is.
I find him hilarious.
Oh my god, yeah, he's a hilarious Cheeto, but
Did
he's
you see
irritating.
that thing with the Pope?
I I don't, they honestly, I would like to make it simple. I would not support anyone, any leader, any person who does not believe in climate change. Okay? Because I'm such an
Yeah.
environmentalist. If someone tells me that climate change is not real,
I
I should just
remember I
like.
had this conversation with somebody about the Singaraja forest, and I was just like, we don't have to destroy the environment per se, but we create careful paths that so that we could make money out of it, but while conserving it. And they were like, no, no, no. So can you start making money out of our natural resource? You're spoiling its purity, and that is, against the environment. And I'm just saying, people come in. You have porta cabins, like small bathrooms that are portable, which has no effect on the environment, right? And people just move it as it is, and people were so opposed to it. I wonder why.
It all depends, if you look at Sri Lanka, we don't have the best track record of taking care of our natural resources and our forestry. So it depends if you're a disciplined society and if you think that these portable bathrooms are going to be, people are going to, use it in a very disciplined manner,
No, the
then
thing what I'm
all up
saying
to
is,
you.
you on anyways have foreigners walking into Singharaja for some reason or the other, right?
Hmm.
But if we
Hmm.
can make it in a standardized way, we're just making money out of what they're already doing. Just
Why you're bold of you to assume that tourists are the reason for a lot of the pollution that's happening in our country
No, I didn't say
when
that.
it's
I
the
definitely didn't say that. I'm not saying that.
when
What I'm
it's
saying is, if it's the
yeah.
effect of people, not foreigners per se. I'm just saying, people within our nation, if they're just going in anyways to go in for sightseeing, families going in for sightseeing, might as well make money for it from it. Get it? And
Yeah.
if we invest in it, and if we're choosing to make that as a source of income, automatically the need for security would come. Need for security will stop poachers. It will stop unwanted things happening within these nature conservatives.
I would agree with you to a certain level because you look at how Australia capitalized over the Great Barrier Reef and now how much it is deteriorating and it's
Australia
under
didn't know when to
great
stop.
threat. Yeah, so do you think Sri Lanka will know when to stop with the money? You're
Eh,
the same person who told me
I
five
mean,
minutes ago.
Sri Lanka keeps messing everything up. We have so many opportunities coming, but then we just say no because we know how irresponsible the people are. What to do?
Yeah.
I guess that's what life is. And such good information from you about Japan, about higher education, about politics important aspect. I think a lot of kids can learn from this, and you were
Mhm.
a great guest, and I have to tell you this. And not many people are very comfortable in front of camera, or especially talking to somebody for the purpose of
Mhm.
it being broadcasted. And thank you very much for being here, and
No
I hope that
problem.
in 2 months we could have another podcast where we say the before and after.
Yes, yes, I update you about my whole situation here.
Right. Thank you very much. And so let me tell everybody here. So for the next week's episode, we have it with Ara. It'll be talking about the life in the Middle East versus life in Sri Lanka. Both of us, we lived in the Middle East and Sri Lanka, so we'll be talking about essentially the cultural differences. And she'll be talking, or rather, busting myths about how women are treated in Arabia per se. And yeah, it'll be a fantastic episode next week. And drop your questions. And once again, I'd like to thank Buthmee. Have a nice day, guys.